Hello, welcome to my little video journal here. I'm Mitch Miller. It is Wednesday, April 20th, 4:20 at 6:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am talking about my criminal mental health record, and I said I was going to go into the Czech Republic, but I'm not. I'm going to go, that's next time. This time I'm going to go into the incident that occurred in December of 2015. There was a call put through to a mental health liaison that was on Ken Bryan's phone. So it is kind of a mental health history point. Also, I wrote to multiple EU politicians about this incident, so I just want to clarify my version, a better version than what I wrote in a letter that I sent through the snail mail. So we're getting into more of the mental health and out of the criminal stuff now, but I was in solitary confinement. I got the mental health diagnosis, schizophrenic or schizoaffective disorder. I was on a low dose 2 milligrams of Risperdal for 4 years. I got out in 2011, and then 2015 I was fine on the medication for 4 years, same dosage, 2 milligrams. It was hunting season, end of November 2015. I was up in my hometown, and I guess I should precursor this by saying Kenneth Bryan, who's a friend who I like, and I don't think a lot of this is his fault, but he's a devout Catholic man who bought a large farm in Utica, Pennsylvania, where I grew up. He put a campground in, he put a dojo in the barn and a nice bar. Very social person. Anyhow, he worked for Lionsgate, the film and media production company Lionsgate, doing sales. And he was a liaison, I believe, with the military quite a bit, doing sales for them, DVD sales. Anyhow, he moved to town. A lot of the people don't necessarily like his presence in the town, but and maybe this is why. In 2015 I was up hunting in Utica, Pennsylvania, and when I was out walking around in the woods, I was standing the first day of deer season with my wife, and then I went for a walk to go look for a deer that my uncle shot at, and I started developing a laugh. It was kind of a giggle, kind of a laugh, kind of a drunken little, kind of like the Joker on Batman, on the new Batman, or on that movie The Joker. This laugh. I didn't have this symptom before when I was mentally ill. This was a new symptom, and I know it's a symptom of mental illness. I know now. But it was like this punch-drunk laugh. I was giggling myself. I couldn't help it. So after that weekend, when I got home to my home here on Scioto Street in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, for some reason I decided that I wasn't going to go back up hunting for the next 2 weeks. I was just going to stay in my house and paint some paintings in this room and ride this thing out. And what I mean by this thing is, I think the Lionsgate or the Catholic satellite, probably the Lionsgate satellite, was beaming a signal down into the woods of Pennsylvania, and I felt its presence. So when I got back to Pittsburgh, it might have been the Lionsgate satellite shooting a signal just in Utica. It might have been on my house here Might have been the Johnson & Johnson CIA satellite. Maybe there was quite a few satellites pointed at my house. But this top secret satellite basically tortured me in my house. I felt a discomfort in my spine as I stood and painted the whole time. I was cloudy. I was restless, unnerved quite a bit. I paced around the house quite a bit. I had night sweats, and I spent 2 weeks in this house. Hillary, my wife, went to work every day. She would bring supplies. I did a lot of drinking because it helped with the pain. Played a lot of classical music through the TV, and I just holed up and stayed in the same place to see if this thing was torturing me from space. I didn't develop this theory till the end of the 2 weeks. My father and Ken, now the thing you got to remember now is that if this satellite exists and it can affect a whole area, that means that, and I experienced this a little bit in solitary confinement, it means that all the guards, all the doctors, they're hacked. Their brains are hacked. They're operating on the wireless waves. And if they want to keep you in somewhere, they keep you in somewhere. So I believe my dad and Ken were hacked in a way. But I also think that they thought it was odd that I didn't come up for the rest of the hunting season. So after 2 weeks, I decided to try sleeping out in my shed in the rear of the house. Ken and my dad showed up. I had a fire in my backyard. We had a couple beers. And then we came inside. I asked them to leave. We came inside. They didn't want to leave. They wanted to stay at my house. They basically invited themselves to stay at my house. Asked them to leave. They wouldn't leave. So I said, okay, I'm going to remove myself from this situation. So I went. They blocked the front door. So I went for the rear door. No, I don't remember if they blocked the front door at first. I think I just went to the rear door. Both Ken and my dad wrestled me away from the rear door. I don't know if they coached my wife, but she blocked the front door. I went out to the front door and she blocked the front door, and I think they were watching to see if I would grab her or drag her or push her or hurt her in any way, because I think they were going to lay the thump on me. Now Ken is a trained martial artist. He knows Krav Maga. He would fight in MMA fights up until his 40s, 50s. So for him to have his brain hacked, he's like a lethal weapon in my house. So I was very threatened. I was very thrown off. Ken said, we just want you to talk to... They wanted me to go to the hospital. I thought I was going to go to solitary confinement, so I was trying to get out of there. Ken called and put on speakerphone the mental health crisis line. Ken asked me to talk to the person. It was a woman. She said some things, and I said, here's the situation. There are 2 men in my house, and they won't let me leave my house. And I want to remove myself from the situation and go somewhere else and stay. And she said, well, you could call the police, to get them out of your house. And I said, I can't call the police because one's police affiliated. Ken has a friend that was on the Pittsburgh City Police, and so I said that. She said, well then no, they can't keep you here. So I said, I'm free to go, and she said, yeah. So they didn't stop me from leaving the house. I got in my truck. I drove, because I'd been drinking, I only drove 4 blocks to the closest hotel, right there between Center and Baum It was a Marriott. Now it's going to be a family house for the hospital, but it was a Marriott at the time. Pulled in there, put a hotel room on my card, went up to the hotel room, tried to sleep. I couldn't sleep. Ken and my dad looked for me. I think they found me at that hotel or found my truck out there, but they didn't do anything about it. So now I believe a satellite has irradiated me. It has shot a signal, a laser beam like signal, straight into my house and inundated me with wireless waves and possibly radiation. So I'm irradiated. So it just comes to me because I'm probably linked up with whatever trying to keep me alive, supercomputers trying to keep me alive. So I soak in the tub multiple times at the hotel room. Keep soaking in the tub to try to get the radiation to dissipate. The next morning I get up, I go to the pharmacy 2 blocks away, I walk there. I think I walked there, I might have drove there. I buy 2 boxes of Raisin Bran and a half gallon or gallon of milk. Now the Raisin Bran is high in iron. I think that'll help get the radiation poisoning out of me. So I go back to the hotel room, I eat a couple bowls of Raisin Bran, high in iron, start working that through my intestines. I'm hoping the iron will pull any kind of radiation out of my body. I mean, if you can you can pick it up with a magnet. It's got to have some kind of property. I think I saw it in a movie somewhere where somebody was irradiated and eating a bunch of Raisin Bran, so it came to me like that. So I'm eating Raisin Bran, soaking in the tub. Apparently my wife tried to come and see me. The Marriott was good, they wouldn't let her up. So I stayed there 2 nights. Finally, I'm feeling somewhat normal after eating the Raisin Bran, soaking in the tub a bunch. And I'm pissed off, mind you, that I was trapped in my own house. I was always taught that once you own your house, once you own property, you can tell people to leave your property and it'll be respected. But because Ken was police affiliated, I knew that if they called the police, he would just talk them into taking me back to solitary confinement. And if you'd ever been in solitary confinement before, you would do just about anything not to be put back in there. At least at the ACJ, Allegheny County Jail. So eventually, I had a doctor's appointment that Wednesday, and I told Ken and my dad that night. I said, I have a doctor's appointment on Wednesday. This was on a weekend, on a Saturday or Sunday night when this all happened. I said, I have an appointment on Wednesday. I'm going to go to the doctor. So I still had that appointment. I talked to my wife. We go into the appointment together. I go into my therapist's office. She's waiting for me because you meet with her before the doctor comes down and talks to you. I said, is there a room we can go with no computers or electronic devices? So they arranged for me to be in the conference room, which there is a small stereo system in. The RA, or the resident that usually meets with me, was in there. He had just adopted a whole new pager system that people carry around with them, so that was ridiculous, that could listen to you. Dr. Gannon comes down. She recommends I go to the hospital. I tell her that I think I was irradiated. I think I'm drinking. What the heck was I drinking? I have a gallon of water. Just drinking a ton of water and stuff. And she recommends I go check myself into the hospital after I explain everything I think that was going on at my house. I said, are you going to be my doctor? If I go in the hospital, will you be able to get me out of there? And she said, no, you'll be up to the doctors in there after they observe you, whether you'll be released or not. So I said, no, I don't want to go to the doctor. I think it's over. I don't think my house is being attacked anymore. I just want to go home and deal with this. And my uplink mind did believe that the torture device pointed at my house, whether it was from space or one of my neighbors, had been shut off. There was a whole court case in my head, basically, that the judge said, don't do this anymore. But that's neither here nor there. So that's when after about a week of hanging out at the house, I started working out again, and that's when the symptoms occurred. After I worked out vigorously, I was pretty out of shape at this point. I hadn't worked out in a couple months. After vigorous workout, running on the elliptical, a convulsive tremor would overtake my body. I also noted this compulsive tremor after orgasm, which I hyperventilate myself a little bit, usually when that happens. Just my breathing pattern, I mean. I also noticed muscle twitching in various muscle groups, and I kept a log of this for several months, at least till I got to the Czech Republic, of all my muscle twitches in the evening when I wasn't working. I'm just sitting on the couch. When a muscle twitched, I'd note it in the time. So, I believe exposure to this equipment is going to give me early onset Parkinson's. I can feel some twitching sometimes in my neck. I believe I had neurological damage because of this equipment, these devices, and this satellite, hypothetically. That's why I wrote to various bodies, various politicians, and my wife was planning a work trip to the Czech Republic. So after trying a few other things like walking into the FBI and talking to them, I decided to try to seek asylum in the Czech Republic. And that's what I'll talk about on the next one. But when you can't defend your own house, when there's no way to defend your own house, what do? You flee the country and try to seek asylum. If the government's not going to protect us from this type of situation, then what do? Go try to find another government that will. And that's the other thing, the theory I had, was that because we pay a mortgage, we don't actually own our property. And I believe there was a consortium of executives, because my mortgage just changed over to a new mortgage provider called Mr. Cooper, which I thought was suspicious. So I thought a consortium of executives bought my mortgage so that they could test their equipment on my property. Now, leading up to this November situation where the Lionsgate, and that might be why Ken isn't popular in Utica, because he brought the Lionsgate satellite beaming down on Utica, a sleepy little town. But leading up to that summer of 2015, I made a series of video interviews, including one with Ken, in which I criticize companies like Google, the CIA, various other entities, and I was doing it to promote my book, that didn't take off like I hoped it would. But I believe that these consortium of some sort, some entity, tortured me in my house because of these videos. So I took them all down. I have them all packed away somewhere. I'm sure they're out there on the internet somewhere. check them out. Check them out if you like. See if it would piss your father off enough to use his satellite system against me. Anyway, that's my theory. It's pretty scary if everyone around you can be hacked, but that's what this book is kind of about. This institute and clinic book I'm writing on this computer is that the doctors are linked up with wireless waves, and it's a series of negotiations where I'm getting different things typed into my medical record, and they're changing their strategy based off of that, off of what's on record. And what's interesting is this doctor had me up to 8 milligrams of the Risperdal until I finally said I'm not going to take any more uppage of my dosage. This is fine. This is more than what I was taking. And when I left the facility, the prescription he wrote for me to be on after that was 6. So he downed it by 2 milligrams. Was it a glitch? Was it a mess up on his part? Or was it because he's linked up to the wireless waves and I pointed out every medical fraternity there is in my medical record? You'll see when I finish the book. Anyhow, thanks for watching, and join me next time when I talk about my internment in the Czech Republic.